We're getting twisted, brah. Twisted. Twilight. It's almost upon us coming this week, and I haven't shown off a tremendous amount of Drycha gameplay so far. Drycha, call her whatever the hell you want. Don't be a nerd. We're into the Wildwood, and we're marching to unchain Coeddil from his eternal prison. From everything I've heard and seen, this is a super cool quest battle. Maybe one of the best in Mortal Empires. I have already beaten it once, and I kind of regret not recording it on my first run-through, because that's when the ambushes and sneaky AI shenanigans will work the best, and you get my first legit reaction in real time. But I'm going to tackle this legendary playthrough completely different from my first run, and go after some objectives I haven't even interacted with yet, which should help keep things fresh, at least from my perspective. And obviously, spoiler alert, I occasionally get comments saying I'm ruining the DLC for people, and to that I say, have some self-control, man. If you don't want to see what the quest battle's like, don't click on the video. It's fairly simple. She has an awesome voice. Genocidal spirits with tree tatas. Let's get it poppin', boys. Okay, so this particular quest battle is actually straight from the lore. We'll talk about what happened and its ramifications while we're slaughtering these traitors of the forest. Unfortunately, tree blobs aren't the most interactive, and that's kind of the build we have right now. There are 4 Glade Guard with Hagbane tips, which might actually end up being the key, considering this is legendary. But by the same token, it's probably the best way to play legendary if you don't have a lot of missile troops, right? Like, just blob up with monstrous infantry and with single entity monsters and heal the crap out of them. That is how you win on some of the higher difficulties, because the AI gets such ridiculous combat bonuses that it becomes pretty difficult otherwise. Unless you're going for a full range build or full monster mash, you're gonna have a hard time playing a normal way. And it's kind of part of the reason why I avoid playing legendary usually. It's artificial difficulty. It limits your options and makes units perform poorly in situations they wouldn't normally perform so poorly in. Normally it'd perform much better. But yeah, that is Drycha or Drycha. Moving with her malevolent tree spirits. I think the start of this battle is going to be pretty casual. It doesn't start out crazy. It's when you get up near Coeddil that things really start being unleashed. So there are a bunch of these waystones around, and essentially in the lore what Drycha did was she went into Corone, she went into a bunch of Bretonnian settlements and Empire settlements and stole certain objects that would help her to break through these waystones and unleash Coeddil from his eternal prison. So any of these waystones we tear down, we will get reinforcements from the AI. That includes Great Eagles, Tree Men, Treekin, and some of those Forest Spirit units, which should really help, because the front line anyway is not particularly tanky. I mean, we got Treekin and Tree Men, which certainly will be, but the Dryads on Legendary will not perform particularly well. No Earthbloods, unfortunately. At least not when we're playing from the front end. That will make the tree blobbing a little bit less effective because we don't have AoE heals. I do have Drycha. Do have a Lore of Life Malevolent Branch Wraith. I'm already breaking through those first Eternal Guards, so pretty easy so far. But Indie Pride, you ask. Why is an extremely important ancient, one of the OG elders alongside Durthu and Adonhu, chained within the forest? Well, the elves and a subset of the tree peoples have kind of always been at odds. There are quite a few forest spirits who consider the Azrai as interlopers, as usurpers, and they want them gone forever. This problem was exacerbated when Ariel the Mage Queen karate chopped Morgur at the Glade of Woe, and some of his chaotic blood envenomed our boy Coeddil. Think of this as a tree triumvirate, really. It's Adonhu as the pure, benevolent elder, Durthu with both light and dark present within him, and Coeddil as the malevolent, hate-filled one. Some forest spirits are already kinda on the brink of chaos anyway. Like two sides of a coin, they are anti-chaos by being chaotic. cut from the same cloth, kind of warp-touched anyway, and empowered by dark magic. And that is doubly true for our protagonist here, the Briarmaven of Woe, who is closely tied to the Elder God we're trying to free right now. I'm gonna chase after a few of those archers and deal with these Wildwood Rangers, and then I think we can bust down this first waystone and continue on our journey. Just gotta keep the Glade Guards safe, because I don't know if I'm gonna end up needing them in the late game. Just an enfeebling foe to lower their stats a bit. But yeah, so Coeddil was driven mad by Morgar's taint when this blood was spilt upon him. I mean, who wouldn't be driven mad by Morgar's taints? That's one thick-ass beast man, right? He's a scary boy. And from this madness, he sought to prevent Orion's rebirth and kick the Wood Elves out of Athelorn for good. This has kind of always been his idea, but it didn't really manifest in action until after the Glade of Woe and the battle where Ariel pooped on Morgar. So they waited until winter and said, hey, we can kill off all the Wild Riders who will be protecting him and then prevent his rebirth entirely. It's our first waystone. We'll get some reinforcements coming in now. Bunch of Great Eagles, a bunch of Cave Bats, and a Tree Man Ancient leading the party. So all those single entities will help tremendously dealing with the Wildwood Ranger spam, which is all over the map right now. We just can't see most of them because they're hidden. So they marched into the Wildwood. They killed off a bunch of Wild Riders, and Ariel was settling down for her long nap in winter. And immediately, when the first Wild Rider was struck down by the hate-filled branch race that came swarming towards them, she woke up, and she was pissed. We've already seen what she looks like with her warlike aspect. The character of Ariel the Mage Queen we see in-game, that's not what she normally looks like. That is the aspect of her war form. When she wants to fight, she becomes much more intimidating and scary. But she comes screaming out of the Oak of Ages and destroys a bunch of trees. Well, she doesn't actually destroy them. Let me rephrase that. She hurts them. She beats up on them. But she doesn't want to kill them because they're part of the forest too. Even if they're evil, even if they're malevolent, she is... I mean, it'd be anathema to her to just, like, slaughter any part of the forest. So instead, she creates a prison, which is the prison we're in now, the Wildwood, and shoves them in a corner, gives them a swirly, puts them in a locker, and says, you're not leaving. Puts a bunch of waystones around the place, and magically locks them inside the forest for all time to brood on their betrayal of the Wood Elves. Drycha doesn't like that, of course. So she goes around looking for magical artifacts that can break these waystones, and that's where we're at now, trying to free him. So already those Treemen Ancients and Treemen are helping out tremendously. There's a bunch of Way Watchers and Waystalkers firing from the forest above. Probably going to want to avoid that, but honestly, I wouldn't mind them wasting all their ammunition here because, one, they're firing through trees, which will be impacted somewhat by the changes to projectiles, of course, that 1.2 second grace period. But at the same time, they're firing from above and not going directly at my stuff. So anytime archers fire into the air, they become much less accurate. It's the same as in Medieval 2, really. Projectiles work the exact same way. If you fire upwards, you're less accurate, easier to dodge, and you can see they're wasting a ton of shots on, like, cave bats and great eagle swarms in the woods. So unleashing those first reinforcements has been pretty beneficial for me so far. Bunch more Wildwood Rangers coming out now. Maybe get a couple shots into them, but they're also in the trees. So I think we'll keep the blob going. Now, the first time I played this battle, I actually went up and to the right and went straight for Coeddil to get him early on. The downside to doing that is that I didn't tackle the other waystone down here that unleashes a second army. And so I don't know if it's going to be good or bad to get them, because I'll have to fight more units as well. But I think we'll go for the second waystone before we move up to the top. See a waystalker rounding off there and some wild riders screaming down the mountainside. What else? Are you ready to die? That seems like obscenely long range on my archers right now. That just feels long for some reason. Maybe the map's not quite as big as I thought it was. But yeah, I mean, they're low armor, so 4 Hagbane tips firing into those wild riders should put them in the ground pretty quick, I would think. And I'm not using my magic very much. You'll probably see why when I get into the second stage of this battle. I don't want to spoil anything for you guys yet. But, yeah, there's gonna be plenty more to fight, let's just say that. Alright, we're gonna head over to the second waystone. I don't think I'm going to be... Well, like I said, I've not actually fought over this waystone yet, so I don't really know what to expect. But... might make a cut here and wait until we actually see something happen. I mean, ultimately, we're not just here to free Coeddil. We're here to free every single tree spirit that wants to romp alongside us, so... might as well go full lore, full thematics, and free everyone we can. Wild Rider ambush coming in. How much blob could a blobfest blob? If a blobfest could blobfest. We'll find out. I wish I had an Earthblood, man. Melkost to slow that Wild Rider down so it can't disengage. A lot of magical attacks going their way. And Frenzy. Remember, all Malevolent Dryads, Treekin, and Tree Men have Frenzy. So they have higher melee attack than base. Well, I mean, they're actually just objectively better than regular Dryads. And Rouse to Wrath from Drycha is also a Malevolent Dryad unit. It's not regular Dryads either. Awakening of the Wood, maybe, if we can catch them out. They didn't, they stopped retreating. And that should have still hit them, though. Just can't see spell effects in Legendary. Oh, okay, alright. Ambush is coming out of nowhere, bro. Let's pull back. So the big thing here, really, just make sure the Treekin and Treemen are the first things to take the charges. Treekin did lose a little bit of melee defense, but they gained like 40% weapon strength or something silly. They're gonna be a much better unit now, I think. When they actually get their hands on their gnarled tree limbs, rather, on knights and armored cavalry, they'll hit quite a bit harder now. And those Glade Guard get some spiders in on top of them, get some poison on them. And it seems like these units also don't behave quite like they would in the base game. They shatter more easily than typical Legendary. But I think that's because they're just sending so much crap your way. The Wildwood Ranger unit really messed up that first Dryad, but Pendulum there getting them pretty low. Once we bust through this unit, take that Waystone, get the second reinforcement army, and then push to the pinnacle. Race to the top. You guys have probably seen... Oh, hello. Okay. I don't think they came from the top. I think that's a reinforcement army now that I'm going after this Waystone. Now, this isn't actually exactly what happened in the lore. Obviously, they want to make it fun in video game form. I believe that when Drycha came for Coeddil and freed him from the Wildwood, it was a situation where they probably lost a few elves, but they didn't have many reinforcements outside it because they just said, okay, well, it doesn't matter. Like, you can't get out. And they heard that Drycha had unleashed him and rushed there, but by the time they got there, all of the malevolent tree spirits were gone. I don't know if they wrote a language for this or how they actually got her words down, but I mean, she really does sound badass. Like, I love the voice actors for that and whatever post-processing they did with her. Okay, this is a problem. We got Zotes on top of our Treekin. Pit of Shades this? Blade Guard can fire in. Yeah, we just have to outblob him. My Pit of Shades never went off, I don't think. Did Drycha get her stuff canceled? Yes, she did. Okay, let's try that again. After some Wrath to Wrath. Yeah, that should do some good damage. Get a nice little rear charge in. Perfection. Okay. This reinforcing army should be dead, but all the elite stuff is up top still. And that's what I'm actually worried about. I mean, there are Zotes there. There are some Wildwood Rangers, which hurt. But if you just don't fight them in the forest, they don't get their +8 bonus for storage or whatever. And they're much less effective. Yeah, running them over. A lot of dead elves. I think Coeddil will be pleased. He's gonna crumble out soon. Got 60 kills for me though. Make sure they can't come back. Kick them out, get them out my forest. Almost there. And they might have some nasty surprises once we reach the top of this hill. Got a tree man going to work in and amongst some Wildwood Rangers. Here we go. Oh god, here we go. I was in double fast forward. That was scary. Okay. Wild Riders, Great Stags, and a bunch of scary stuff coming down the mountainside. And they're best against tree men, or treekin and dryads. They're actually super good in this role. So a downhill charge from them. 70 charge bonus. This is terrifying. Big Pit of Shades. Not really doing as much as I'd like it to. Definitely killing some of my dryads, but I'm down to trade dryads for Great Stags at this point. The thing that I'm really scared about is the Glade Lords and the Glade Captains who all have magical attacks. If they're able to isolate some of my tree men, they could be in big trouble. I'm gonna make sure I keep some treekin and some spiders behind my archer line just in case of an ambush. Another Rouse to Wrath coming down. Just swarm them. And definitely time to start investing more in the magic side. We've dropped some Pit of Shades. I don't need to drop any regrowths on the tree men, and I'll save it for them or Drycha if they drop low. Even that Spellsinger did some damage to the Briarmaven. Cave Bats, go forth! Slaughter them! This is actually very different than my first playthrough. I didn't get ambushed as bad. First time I played this, my archers just were completely run over and surrounded by a bunch of Wild Rangers that appeared from behind me out of nowhere. Because they spawned in. I mean, there's some as I said, in these quest battles, there's some artificial difficulty to make it more challenging than it would otherwise be. But I'm okay with that, especially in quest battles. Great focus fire on the Glade Lord. Get the Briarmaven over to smack on her and get a tree man here as well. Yeah, she can't withstand that. Even all legendary. Don't even need to cast an enfeebling foe on her. I'm gonna save for maybe one more Pit of Shades or Pendulum. There's a blob forming. Some good shots into the low armor of those Wildwood Rangers. Yeah, that focus fire is such a big factor. Coeddil, we're coming to save you. Soon you shall breathe the fresh air again. That's a big, juicy Pit of Shades. AI Treekin coming in. They'll get hit by that, but I don't think they care about it too much. I think the Blade Singers and Wildwood Rangers do. Push! That initial charge, that initial impact from the Great Stags was brutal. Slaughtered my dryads. We're clearing them out. Wait. Is everyone dead? Did we just win? Okay. Well, I'm still gonna go free Coeddil. That was very different than my first playthrough. Yeah, I actually do kind of regret not recording the first session. I played the first one on hard, and it was harder than legendary. But I guess that makes sense, right? Like, the first time you play it is the first time it will shock you and surprise you, and you don't know what to expect. But once you know how to... And that's why I tried to play the other waystone. I went down below, because I hadn't been to that side of the map yet. But yeah, I guess having already played it before, that mattered quite a bit. Okay, one more waystone and Coeddil is free. We'll take a look at his stats. I mean, that was still really fun. Like, that's a lot of stuff coming your way. Very unique quest battle. Really good one, especially for a free LC. There he is. My old friend. Oh, he looks so badass, man. Well, Coeddil doesn't get to do anything this time. The last time I played it last night, he and Drycha and 2 tree men were the only things I had left. My Glade Guard got surrounded and destroyed. But take a look at all those abilities this dude has. He is an amazing duelist. We'll be showing him off in multiplayer very soon. 25 bonus versus large, armor sundering, almost 80 melee attack base, 110 armor, massive HP pool. And the biggest thing about his dueling is after we look at his spells here, I mean, we got Power from Darkness, Flock of Doom, Licensed Wild Form. But yeah, that Muster of Malevolence. 100% reduction in their vigor. So instantly, fresh to exhausted. That is why he will crush Durthu. That is why he will crush most monsters in the game in a 1v1 fight. He's fighting at fresh, they're fighting at exhausted. It's just not fair. Too bad we didn't get to see him punch stuff around in this one. I should have gone to the top and not unleashed that second reinforcement army, but I wanted to win, and I think if you want to win in one try, getting that second reinforcement army after you destroy the second waystone is probably the play. Yeah, Wibelai the Ascendant, the Shadows of Modron and the Malice of Anmir helped out quite a bit. Georgiana, Nettle the Deceiver. So that's the quest battle. You can make that a lot harder for yourself if you don't unleash the second reinforcement army, but that is indeed legendary. That is indeed Drycha the Briarmaven of Woe, and Coeddil is unchained once more to wreak havoc across the old world and beyond. Be showing off a bunch more gameplay for them soon. Hope you guys enjoyed.